Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now today's video, I'm gonna focus on a very common question which I have not been able to answer over the past years. It's about what if I get a skill assessment negative result? What should I do? So I'll give an advice in this video, and also in conjunction because of the new financial year, there's a lot of policy and news coming up. So at the end and second half of this video, I will bring you back into a news update for all the new visa and also the information that you should be really watch out for, which is very relevant to all the people who are interested about to migrate to Australia. So anyway, let's jump into the first section of this video. It will be about skill assessment. So what is skill assessment? I cannot stress too much, but I've said so many times in my channel that if you wanted to see for a skill type of visa, skill assessment is the mandatory and the first step that you're required to go through. So you may want to have a little Google on what skill assessment is all about. Basically, it's a way that the government of Australia and the immigration required to actually gone through in order to prove your skill and experiences in your career profiles, in order to show that you are perhaps a chef, a qualified chef by a standard of Australian standards, or a qualified accountant, or a qualified carpenter, or a qualified lawyer, or whichever occupation that you're in, you're required to go through a skill assessment. So there is an overview, and I've done some information in regard, and also a playlist in YouTube channel that I've come through every single occupation and whichever the skill assessment authority are required to go through. So you might want to check that out. So let's go back to step back a little bit. So question here is, now what if I have gone through it? Obviously I have listened to what Carl had advised. I went through a skill assessment process and I get a negative result. Wow, that's disappointing. So what do I do? Now it's pretty common nowadays. People go through ACS, for example, Australian Computer Society. Now obviously they have two different type of criteria in order to assess whether or not your qualification was obtained and your skill experience is obtained in Australia and also outside of Australia. So the skill assessing authority is trying to disadvantage in a way to disadvantage people who had accrued their experiences outside of Australia. No, for example, if you've been working in Silicon Valley, in Meta, Facebook, or Google, and they'll still get disadvantaged through skill assessment. I know it doesn't make any sense, but again, the government of Australia is looking at a way to protect those ones who actually been working in Australia and awarding those people who come to Australia to study and to work in Australia. That's the goal. Their goal is not to disadvantage those one who actually done their experiences outside of Australia, but to award those one who has actually done their qualification studies and worked in Australia. So a lot of people will have doubts. They got so many years experiences in whatever field of occupation. It's also counted towards those tradesmen like carpenters, panel beaters, chef as well. If you got experience overseas, you get you'll get disadvantages. Okay, you don't get awarded like the normal people who actually get their qualification, degrees, and work experience in Australia. So you may receive something that you don't really like to see. For example, give you an example. People had come to me and said, look, I've got 6 years of work experience in such and such occupation. So I'm pretty sure I'll get extra points for this work experience and blah blah blah. And once we gone through skill assessment, the result came out equivalent to about 2.5 years of work experiences. Then they went nuts. They go, that doesn't make any sense, because I actually worked for 6 years. Why am I only getting a result of awarding for 2.5 years for the migration point test scores? Well, I said, look, it's basically the policy that has been set it up in Australia to actually award those ones who actually chose to come to Australia to study and work. Thus, it will disadvantages to those one who actually got their qualification outside of Australia and work outside of Australia. So it's just a protective mechanism. It's not there to actually see to disadvantage anyone. But anyway, that's the law, that's the rule. We cannot complain too much. So if you get those one and you do not believe and you don't like it, what can you do here? There is obviously a review procedure for you to appeal against the decision. So this is a web page from VetAssess. Now there's all other review and also appeal process for every single skill assessment authorities. So basically they will charge another fee, and then obviously you change, you lodge and perhaps provide more additional information required to go through this one. So now your next question may say, so Carl, is it really okay to actually go appeal against the decision? I mean, is it smart to actually choose to do that way? Well, my answer to that is, well, obviously that's a decision of the applicant yourself to make. But I would say, look, skill assessment is a key towards skill migration. Pretty obvious. Now, whatever the result that you actually get, provide you a guideline, a directions. For example, if going back to the example that we just talked about, you work for 6 years and you only get assessed under 3 years for 2.5 years. What do you do? Well, that will guide you as a guideline. Although the result is not negative, positive, but less work experience as you expected, but that provides you a guideline. So that shows you how many more months or years required for you to actually achieve additional points. You see? Now, so do you actually go appeal and review again for the decision? Well, it's really up to you. I'm not a fan to go through appealing procedures. First of all, it costs money. Secondly, it's very slow. And thirdly, the result is still likely to be what it is before. Why do I say that? Because, as I said at the beginning, the policy of a skill assessment is there to award those one who come to Australia to study and work, not to disadvantage the one who actually got their qualification and work experience outside of Australia, but the policy is set in that way. So you cannot really challenge that protective mechanism within the skill assessment. So anyway, that's for you to have a little think about what you need to do. Obviously, if you have achieved something that you expected, that's even great. Generally, it's more easier on the engineer's occupation part, for tradesmen and also for the IT people. It's actually very hard. They really disadvantage those one who actually work overseas or got qualification overseas. I've gone through that skill assessment detail and guideline in other video. You might want to check it out in my channel. Anyway, now let's go to the news update here. There are two I wanted to go through. Basically matches exactly of what I had predicted and what I have done the research and study, and my prediction actually is quite well on the track. So first of all, it's about the Kiwis. So Australian to streamline citizenship process for New Zealander as part of relationship reset. Now this is very good because you might want to check my video back I don't know how long ago. Well, the New Zealand wanted to come to Australia. The policy is going through subclass 189 New Zealand stream, which is really the design is really bad. I mean, if you get the special Kiwi visa coming to Australia, you can actually stay and live permanently. Now, applying for another 189 visa, well, it's great. Well, provided you need to pay the money, and the criteria is really relaxed. But you still only get a permanent residency. Now, if you can already stay permanently, why do you want to get another permanent visa? That just doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, a lot of people might agree with me. I got a lot of Kiwi friends in Australia, and they just don't find the usefulness of applying for another permanent residency while they're holding a visa. Allow them to stay there permanently. Right. So anyway, I think this is a good thing. It's really a visa to resolve the problem. I'm very welcome on this. As I said, and also a lot of media has come out in public comment in regards to former government of Australia, the Liberal Party, not really making things to work. So New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has signed progress towards resolving a key sore point over Australia's treatment of New Zealand citizens. Now, they have been treating Kiwi quite badly, which had caused some diplomatic issues previously. You might want to search that news in the years before. The pair held the talk in Sydney on Friday before they actually head to Indonesia for the G20. So it's quite interesting. So the two countries had a plan to place a change of Anzac Day next year. So Ms. Ardern said that the recognition of no Australia or New Zealand should be rendered permanently temporary. Now, this is exactly what I had meant. Permanently temporarily. If you already hold a visa, allows you to stay in Australia permanently, why do you want to apply for another permanent visa? It's just redundant. Okay, they should go one more step forward in order for them to actually become Australian citizen. Otherwise, mark the sign of significant progress, which she described step change way we've seen New Zealanders treated here. We've long argued that New Zealanders are Australia's best migrants, and our ask has been for there to be greater and acknowledge the role New Zealander play here in Australia is actually a lot of New Zealand, and especially the young people, they are about 1/5 of the New Zealand population is actually in Australia. Can you imagine? And most of them, I would say probably 90% of them, do not hold a permanent visa of Australia, because the special visa 444 allowed them to stay permanently. So why the heck they want to spend money? It's like donation to the government of Australia, and swapping from a 444 visa to 189, which is still a permanent visa. Why? So no one's actually done it. It's a very bad design. Architect, I don't know who designed that visa back in the old days. Ms. Ardern previously called Australia's streamlined citizenship process as a part of a reset. So here we go. The key here is citizenship. So there will be a way to actually allow New Zealander to become citizen of Australia, and I think that's a much better treatment rather than swapping between two different kind of permanent visa that just don't make any sense. Mr. Albanese said that the commitment demonstrated recognition of the need of New Zealanders to get more rights and get more and more consistently. So that's very welcome. And also the visa cancellation, because they said the former party of Liberal Party, especially led by Peter Dutton, had actually been trying to deport New Zealanders who had committed crime back to New Zealand, where they probably had never actually lived in New Zealand previously, and that had caused a lot of issue. I think that's gonna be resolved very soon. I think that is the right way to do. I mean, if you wanted to treat New Zealander as your citizen as well, or outsider, that's just two different things. There is a Tasman agreement between New Zealand and Australia, and they should bound together on that one. I'm not gonna go too much about climate change because that's not my expertise gonna be like. So let's move on to the next news, shall we? So the next one is something that everybody is really interested about. It obviously about your visa. Okay, the policies now. Despite that, there has not been any announcement of new policies coming out, but they are still. Let's read the title: Australian visa backlog and how the new government plan to fix it. So again, they're repeating this. I thought a month ago they were talking about this, but this news, although the title is the same as what they have said in the media a month ago, well, probably 3 weeks ago, not really a month, 3 weeks ago, but there is actually action that we can see here. So there is definitely a way. So this guy is an engineer from Yemen waiting for his visa for how many months? 40 something months, 41 months. That's just crazy. Okay, so this news media is actually very good because it has shown that the Department of Home Affairs has allocated human resources to different part of the department in order to solve the backlog. Well, obviously a lot of people will come, yeah, this is all talk about what about my visa. My visa still is not really finalized yet. Look, I understand it's been 2 years of craziness, or perhaps 5 years of craziness of the visa system. We gotta trust this new government and give them time to fix it. And looks like they are obviously in line in putting action to fix that problem. So this is basically, and this is going back to the 17th of June, which is about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, today's 9th of July, so 3 weeks ago, and you know that the new government just got elected back in 21st of May, and they have actually found out there's a lot of crap in the system. Obviously, the budget has been taken out from the previous government, the former government. They cut about, here we go, cut 875 million budget. So that is a huge problem. Now, my previous video was again, because I've been continuously communicated with the different departments of the state and territories. They have been telling me that they haven't received the final go from the boss, which is going to be the federal government. So I doubt they are trying to squeeze some fund in order to actually increase the quota, the annual intake. But I don't know what's the inside deal there, but that's where my prediction is, because if you don't increase the migration cap from 160,000, still you cannot solve the problem. If you can solve the backlog, but they still need to be granted, and we need quota to actually grant the visa, don't we? Yeah, so anyway, I think that's still a major thing that required to go through. So again, they are talking about, I think these news have been talking about, there's this hairdresser there. There was one sentence about October. Here we go. Here, that's it. Okay, that's a better way to search it. Now, obviously, they are aiming at October. Why are they doing that? Because October is the next budget release by the government of Australia. It's a traditional date for the government of Australia to actually announce the new budget. However, as I have said previously, should the Department of Immigration or Home Affairs wait until October? I don't think so. If the government wanted to really push something, especially we saw the news article saying they want to resolve the backlog, resolve all these delay. Even the citizenship application is being delayed and held for about 20 months. If they really want to resolve that, budget cannot wait until October. That's another 3 months pushing back. So I doubt they are really looking towards October. I still have that hope that they will put something in July. But anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye.